Her question is Western anime versus Japanese anime. Now, just so everybody knows where we're at here on the Western anime versus Japanese, I've watched very, very few Western anime, but I've watched a lot of Japanese anime. Nick has watched Western anime, not so much Japanese anime, just a couple. And Jimmy has watched, I would assume, a good bunch of both.
Yeah, I lost a lot of hours in my life.
Yeah, so you're like kind of in between. I mean, this is a really broad subject because I feel like both of them do good jobs in different areas. But I think the biggest question that I got for you, Jimmy and Nick, do you think that Western anime will ever be as big as Japanese anime in terms of, being everywhere?
Well,
or is that just left for Western anime movies?
Do you mean, when you mean Western anime, do you just mean all Western animation?
Yeah, so cartoon, anything.
I think it's fair to say that it already is just as big, just in different ways.
Well, I'm sorry, not as big. Will it be as respected as Japanese anime is respected by adults in Japan? Will there ever be Western anime that's respected in that same way by all ages?
Absolutely. They're already, the biggest example is Avatar. Avatar The Last Airbender and Avatar The Legend of Korra. They cover so many core themes, but meanwhile, keep it light enough that kids can be interested, that the majority of fans are older at this point. It's indisputable. If you check the ratings, I think there was a study that showed that 50% of the people watching Korra were at least in high school or college. And I think that that's just one example.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not actually, I'm sorry, I just stopped talking, but I just got hit with the emotional weight that there's only one or two shows made in America that are like Avatar.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing with Western anime.
I think they'll be just as respected if they're designed to get the respect, though. You have shows the first Avatar deals with being deals with themes of isolation and earning your trying to earn your own respect as opposed to trying to live the life that was expected of you. You deal with all these complex themes, and then Korra, after the first season and a half that we don't talk about, really, really fucking blew up and started dealing with complex themes of government, dealing with control versus anarchy. And in the last season, they did a really, really good job of just showing PTSD and how people deal with it and how people recover from it or don't. Yeah. It was really, really, really powerful. I probably cried watching that show more than pretty much any other animated thing I've ever watched. And I mean, I've watched every Pixar movie, so that's saying a lot.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah. What?
I was just gonna say, what do you think, Nick? Do you think that Western? I'm sorry, I'm gonna shut off this fucking sound. Do you think that Western has kind of reached the same amount of? I don't want to say respect. I don't want to say that's not the right word. I'm thinking more when you talk to an adult, just a regular guy, they're not really gonna watch, either anime. But in Japan, you talk to an adult, and a lot of them adults, older people, have watched anime. And to be fair, there's a lot wider range of anime than Western anime TV shows anyway.
Yeah.
So that's to be fair, because to us, Game of Thrones is for, adults and stuff, and to them, they have their own shows, but in anime form, not for adults.
Yeah.
What do you think, what do you want to see, I guess, from, the Western anime? Do you want, like you said, Avatar covers pretty mature themes,
mm-hmm.
but do you want to see a show with the level of, I guess, Breaking Bad, but anime version? Do you think that's even possible in America? Will we ever get to that point where American audience will watch something that well done anime?
Do you mean as in, instead of adults going to watch something like Mad Men or Breaking Bad,
yes.
watch it? So you're asking, should it be that popular? Basically?
Not should it be, but do you think we'll ever get to that point? The way we're going, obviously anime is becoming bigger and bigger in America, no matter what. More people, especially younger generation, read anime now than when I was growing up or you guys were growing up.
I mean, I don't mean to hog the spotlight, but just like so many adults just fucking go home and watch Adventure Time all the time now, or.
Oh, well, I do have a good point to that. Do you think that, and I think this is a pretty broad, I know Adventure Time's not just this, but do you feel that the Western audience feels like the only respected animation for the general audience is comedy? Like, I feel like that's the mindset of America. You got a ton of great comedy shows that are animated, you know, Family Guy, Simpsons, Adventure Time, Archer, you can go on and on.
Yeah.
But do you feel like America is so jaded that these are the only ones that are acceptable for people of adult nature?
That's actually a very good point. I never considered that. At the moment, yeah, but I feel like that's changing and it's going to continue changing because like so many people just go online and go on Crunchyroll and like watch animes or, you know, just dedicate themselves. Like people growing up now can take cartoons seriously. So maybe like the next generation of old farts will be able to do that.
Yeah, kind of building on that, it seems like there's still a stereotype surrounding cartoons in general in the Western world, like U.S. and Europe, in that you see a cartoon, it's only for kids, unless it's like a comedy like Family Guy, South Park, Futurama, where it's known to have adult humor, and we know that it's for adults because of its content, while you have which deal with adult themes like equality and then control, PTSD, all that stuff. But adults see that, and you see like the flashy powers and everything. It's like, oh, that's only for kids because it's on Nickelodeon, and it doesn't appeal per se to a wide audience until you actually sit down and watch it. Like if I had no knowledge of Avatar or Korra, like as of now, I would probably see them and be like, that looks like a kid's show. It's probably a kid's show. I'm not going to watch it. But having grown up with Avatar and then Korra when it's up, you know that it's a kid's show. So like you were saying, the next generation, I think, would have a much better appreciation for that type of stuff. And I think that there will be a wider market for it in the future in like 10, 20 years.
And also on top of it, like half the shows that you mentioned, James, like South Park and Adventure Time and Futurama, these shows, they're all hilarious, but they all cover very serious issues at the same time, too. And they also can take themselves seriously at times. So I feel like they're shows.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And I think, honestly, in my mind, the guys who made these shows, like Futurama and South Park and even like Boondocks, in the back of their head, they're like, we want to make a point that maybe the audience that's watching us for laughs will get some of our serious, more, you know, as much as South Park is funny, it does have a lot of stuff to say.
Yeah.
And people kind of, you know, don't even realize it as they're watching it because they're just saying it's funny, so watch it, it's adult humor, but we're having something to say about, you know, society or whatever.
Well, that just shows how well they're doing it.
Yeah, and it's great. I've always grown, you know, Jimmy, me and you growing up, anime has always been the dominant kind of force when it comes to animation. Besides movies, I always felt animation movies, it's definitely America loves it.
Yeah.
I mean, Frozen and all these movies that just came out, people watch it, they love it, they spend millions on it, and it's not just for kids because Frozen is loved by a wide array of
every Disney, every Pixar film. My friends will have drunken arguments about them.
Yeah, and it's more and more common. You know, if this was 50, you know, not 50 years ago, but like 30 years ago when animation movies were coming out hand drawn, you wouldn't have adults arguing about Pocahontas and Lion King.
You do now.
And shit. But you do now. And I think the generation now is more accepting to, these aren't just made for kids. Yes, they have a kind of childish overlook, but it has some really deep thought into the story. But so let's get away from that. What do you think? What do you? For me, I've watched some Western animation, and you know, I watched the first season of Avatar. I didn't finish the whole series, but the very first season or arc, and I liked it a lot. And I thought it was really cool. Like I said, it dealt with isolation and him not having any of his family, stuff like that, and I loved it. But I always felt the one big thing in animation in the Western market is that they don't have the flow of animation like they do in Western. I mean, in Japanese animation, especially something like Art of Sword or when Attack on Titan has a budget. I mean, those animation, the way they flow.
What, do you mean
still
like the quality of the animation?
Yeah, like the fight scenes. Have you seen a fight scene Western wise as good as I don't know. I don't know if you've seen Art by Sword.
Absolutely. We lost Nick.
Oh, he'll be back. He said he was going to cut in and out.
Yeah, actually, I have. So like you're saying, like, have I seen any animation from the West that has just this like intense and fluid combat scenes, or even just like normal scenes like that rival Japanese animation?
Well, no, not normal scenes, because on terms of emotional level, that all comes down to the personal scene, and Western definitely has the benefit of being Western, so it's not dubbed over like it is in Japanese. But have you ever seen a fight scene, as good as something like, like Attack on Titan, the very first?
Absolutely, yes. There are multiple shows that excel. One, surprisingly, Boondocks has Dragon Ball Z level combat in some scenes that just are so visceral and intense. But Avatar, The Legend of Korra, puts those to shame. Like, even Avatar: The Last Airbender, I didn't think there was anything wrong with the animation, and I thought the fight scenes were very good. But Korra's later on, like in seasons 3 and 4, the animation is top notch, and the fights are so creative and intense and visceral that you just can't help but bored. And I actually think that they're superior to a lot of Japanese anime fights. But
well, I haven't seen Korra.
Yeah.
I've seen Avatar, and they were pretty decent. And I've seen all the Boondocks. And while I love Boondocks fight scenes, it feels very much like we're just going to kind of copy that anime. But I just haven't seen a moment yet in anime that matched. I mean, Western
and
anime.
Also, the chicken fight from Family Guy, that first one. I mean, really intense. You say what you want. The production values were good. It's just a different style. So it may be just that, a lot of Western animation just has a very, like, a different, less technical and less detailed style, so they just don't look as good to you.
Yeah, I mean, and I think one of the big Western animes right now, or animation, is the Star Wars series. Not the one that's on now, but the one that came before.
Clone Wars?
Yeah, and I watched some of those fight scenes, and they were pretty badass. And I do love Western animation fights, especially when they're really well done. I thought Big Hero 6 had some really cool moments.
Yeah.
How to Train Your Dragon fucking looks amazing, especially the dragon fights.
Yeah.
But it's just, I just don't think I've seen an animation where I literally am like standing on my feet. Well, I guess I'm a little bit.
I'm gonna send you some while we're talking.
I mean, have you seen anything that matches Full Metal Alchemist fight scenes? Yeah. I just have not. Yeah. Come on, man. Those fight scenes are so fluid.
Dude,
and
I know.
They're beautifully done. And I just wish that Western animation... I feel like Western animation focuses more on the technical level and making it more realistic. And Western and Japanese animation just goes for the all-time crazy fucking moves that nobody can do.
Well, I think it's not that. I think, if anything, that a lot of the styles of Western are actually more abstract. But it's just that a lot of Western animation has less focus on fights. Like, a lot of the time, the shows don't even really have a lot of fight scenes, if any at all. So that's why there aren't really a lot of noticeable ones from the Western world.
But shouldn't we want that?
I mean, it's
one of the greatest things about having an anime or an animation or a cartoon is that you don't have boundaries like you do in live action.
Like, the Powerpuff Girls ones were fucking brutal, dude. They're just, the style is just so different and so, like, kid-friendly that you wouldn't think